start
Celeste
recording.
says that you don't have to be real accurate.
So Mike and Chuck, we were just looking at Ed Kalasky's 14-inch scope on a Celestron CGX mount in a dolly.
Oh, geez.
Looks like he needs a
14-inch.
motor.
Looks
To
like he's
drive the
still
wheels.
biking too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's a biker. He's a big biker.
Yeah.
You remember Ed Kalasky, right, Mike? Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he worked at Delco for almost as long as I did.
Very interesting.
So it's you said a 14.5-inch?
14.
14.
And he just has a 2600 MC camera, I think he said. ZWO. Not shown in this picture.
And it looks like he lives in one of the tract homes that was built in Goleta in the 1960s.
He lives over by Walnut, I believe. He was trying.
They're
He
all
was
about
having,
1,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
$3 million.
Two-car garage. Pardon?
$3 million house.
It is today. I bought my first one like that, $21,250 in May of 1965.
How much was it?
$21,250.
Expensive.
That's $1 million house today, easily.
This was Ed doing a quick moon shot and a quick Jupiter shot with this new camera, and then I bring Nebula quick shot. And then Tim's coming in.
What camera was that again?
I think it's the ZWO ASI 2600.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was
Tim.
it was
Hi.
no, color camera, so it's color. Yeah.
Hank, isn't that what you have, the 2600?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, I said yes. So yeah, that's a good camera. I also have an image to show if anybody's interested.
Sure.
Let me. I need to get on the other desktop actually. So if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll let you know
look for
when. Yes. My
I'll look
antique
for you.
laptop to fire up.
So from last week, a friend of mine still working with his cell phones to take pictures, and with a Pixel 6, I think it was, he was able to take Barnard's Loop.
I've never
Big
been able to
field
do
of
that.
view.
But he's tracking, right, Mike?
No, these cameras have the ability to track and stack.
They take those short I mean, like
Yeah.
2-second images or
Something like that. I think it exactly, but it was impressive. Pretty
That's a
soon
huge structure too. So did he stitch them together, or did it just have that field of view?
had that field of view.
Yeah, sensitive.
They are now. I mean, it's incredible what they're doing. Well, it's all what they call mathematical photography. You know, the mathematics helps it out. Let me see if I can find the image. But I'll keep going with yours. You know, just.
Tom, I just sent you a couple of pictures of Ed's pictures that I had
redone.
photo edited.
Okay. Best smartphone to leverage computational photography. Let's see.
In actuality, one of the first amateur astronomical cameras was uncooled and used that technique. They kind of went out of the business right away because it wasn't as nice as the cooled cameras from SBAU, but
It says wait up to 4 minutes for the exposure to finish. So it's trying to crank through the processing, I guess. color handling, wide field of view, and just so they're just
Well, that's with
using
a camera. That's not with this telescope.
yeah. This is just using the camera on the phone,
Ye-
not through a
yeah.
telescope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Take a look.
it's not bad at all.
Google Mark on Facebook, Google Mark Bahu and cell phone. I'm trying to find it here.
I'll let Hank bring in his stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, but
First.
that's really cool.
Sure. All right, let me just try that here, share screen. Let's see here. Okay, so first thing I wanted to show is actually, I think I've started that earlier, but I had something about M31. This is an image I showed earlier, and I processed this with some different techniques than I showed before. And I also applied that to the Veil Nebula. That's actually the image that I finally want to show, but just to illustrate what I've been doing, this is kind of useful. I showed this once, and I had for a gradient removal method that I programmed in Scilab based on some Chebyshev polynomials, and that worked pretty well. But you have to go to Scilab. It's not all that friendly. And I found that with wavelets in Gimp, you can also do some decent processing. So this is the M31, where you can see that to the left, upper left, you've got a gradient, and up to the upper right as well. And I'd like to remove that. So instead of exporting it to Scilab and doing the Chebyshev polynomial trend removal and importing it back in, I found that wavelets work as well. So what I did in first instance is select the nebulosity that you want, fill it in with black, and then do the wavelet decomposition to select the trend. So I won't show it to you in Gimp, but when you do wavelets, so this is the selection where I fill in the nebulosity with black. You get 7 base layers, up to 7 base layers. I use all 7, plus an error term. And if you look at the error term, it looks like this. And that's actually pretty close to what the gradient looks like. So after this, I blurred it out a little bit. And then it looks like this, and you subtract it from the image. That you can do that in Gimp with layers, and that gives you this. So that's a nice way to remove the gradient. It actually looks pretty damn well. So the next thing I would like to do is to remove the stars, or actually to reduce them. In this case, I'm going to try to remove them, or most of them, because that's something that some people like to do. And it's just an illustration of what you can do with wavelets. So the idea is that so what I did for this is I'm trying to flatten the image, in that now I need to get rid of the nebulosity and see the stars only, so I can select them with a threshold. Right now, if I would do a threshold on this, then it would also select the nebulosity. So I need to get rid of that first. So I do that again with wavelets. So you, instead of taking the error term and the base 7 and 6, I go up to base 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 or something. And that results in an image that, so it looks like this. So now I've got the most prevalent terms, the low frequency behavior, as you will, of the, the nebulosity. And you subtract that and you get, sorry, one more, come on. Yeah, you get this. So here you can see that it's pretty much flattened out. And now I've got something that I can do a threshold on and select all the stars. So the mask looks like this. This is just the value of 1 or 0, depending upon the level that you select. Then you select all the stars. And if you zoom in and apply it to the image, then you see something like this. So you see that there's a little circle around all the stars. And in Gimp, you can widen it a little bit. I widened it with 2 pixels and then do an erode, and then it just minimizes the stars inside that circle. And then you do a feather and you do it again. I did this twice, and the result is that eventually that, this is the final result. So you can really minimize the stars quite a bit. And it's not quite as nice as PixInsight, I think, but I'm just trying to do stuff that you can do with PixInsight better, but it's a tool that I don't have yet. But anyway, I had some fun doing this. And I also applied this to the Veil Nebula. So if I go to the Veil, so that wasn't the Veil. I took that with, this was on 2 nights. So altogether, almost 5 hours worth of data with the RedCat 51. Let me see, the DSS image that I started out with was this guy, I think. Veil DSS. Okay, yeah. So this is after stacking it and an initial stretch in DSS. You can see to the lower right there's some artifact because I had two nights and this little bump here was when I threw my my hoodie on as a counterweight on the counterweight to improve the tracking. Anyway, so this is the east veil and that's the west veil over there and all the stuff in between. Now I'd like to extract the nebulosity. So the first thing I did was I applied starNet++, which is results in the starless.tiff. Okay, so here, so it takes a while, just a second. Yeah, so it does a pretty decent job. I mean, if you zoom in, it's not too bad, but you see that there's some, there are some artifacts. It's not perfect, but altogether it gets rid of the stars pretty well. So the reason why I want to do that is, and by the way, I did apply the gradient removal with the wavelets before I got here. So I forgot to mention that, but before I applied the starless, the starNet, I did remove the trend. Now, instead of using wavelets to minimize the stars, what I try to do is apply starNet++ to just remove the stars, because it does a pretty decent job, and then move it back in later on through a layer where you can, you don't. So in the original image, you saw that the stars were kind of large, and that's because you try to stretch everything with the stars included, and everything blows up. But you can fold them back in later with a different color curve that only selects the brightest stars and also gives it some saturation and so on. And you can add that, and that's the next one. So starless final. That's this guy. Yeah, that's a large file, 160 megabytes. I have a smaller version of that. It was a JPEG, but anyway, this
So
is.
Henk, I got to ask you, what is starNet?
It is a module that applies a neural net processing technique to removing stars. So it applies a neural net to recognize stars, and it has some method of removing it. And it
Does
was
that only
invented-
work with? Does it only work with Gimp or?
Okay, this is starless final. No, it's actually used by PixInsight as well. So just a second, or let me see that. I think I have to sit this one. Got the wrong one. So you can use it from the command line in Windows, and that's what I do. It takes about an hour to run in this case, but my computer is a bit old, but it does a lot of work. So you just have to take a break then. Gosh, I have a habit of picking 160 megabyte images here. My computer is struggling. There it is finally. Let's hope I have the right one this time. Jeez. Boy, I need a new computer.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. But yeah, PixInsight has it as a plugin. Yeah, okay, so now we've got stars in there as well. I'm not totally happy with the
That's
stars.
nice, Henk.
Yeah, I think so. It's nice too.
Yeah.
I could have put a little Gaussian blur on it because the stars look a little unnatural. They have such sharp edges, but overall I'm happy with it. It's kind of,
It kind of has a three-dimensional quality.
yeah, thank you. It's yeah. So usually, with the average telescope, you can only get the western veil or the eastern veil, but sometimes it's nice to see the whole thing and that enormous explosion that was there. And I think it came out pretty nice. So I'm pretty happy with the red cat. And yeah, even when you zoom in, it's not like it's total garbage. I mean, if you zoom in too much, then you see some artifacts, of course. But if I had PixInsight, I could have done a better job. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show.
So Henk, can you go back to your original image with the veil? How that looked?
Sure. I have that some here. Yeah, if you go back with this tool, it takes forever, I think. But let's see here. Oh, this one. Yeah, got it.
Wow.
It's quite a difference, huh? And you also see the gradient in the lower left there and the lower right.
Yeah.
It's also in between.
I don't see that.
Oh, yeah. So, it may depend on the kind of display that you have, because sometimes I'm looking on my Android tablet and on my PC, and they definitely look different. And I think it's a matter of the color scheme. I think, you know, on an Android Galaxy, that's probably Adobe RGB. That's the color system in on the laptop.
Yeah, I can see the gradient. It's on the left side in the lower right corner. It's lighter color. So that's what's going on, Tim. But that's just amazing, reducing the number of stars like that, the way it brings out the nebula.
Right, and by the way, this was done with an Optolong filter, right? So that it selects the H alpha and the O3 lines. So there is not much green and yellow in there. So what I should have done ideally is instead of taking the stars, I should have taken some images of the stars with just RGB. With my, I should have taken the filter out and pulled that back in, because then I would have gotten green and yellow colors of the stars. I mean, more natural looking colors, because now it's all a little, you know, bluish, reddish. But that's okay.
Did you use the 2600 camera on this?
Yeah, the AC2600 with the Optolong filter. Yeah. So there was nothing special about it. The guiding was not great. I had like 2 arc seconds RMS, which is definitely not great, but somehow it turned out okay. So it can be improved. Well, it was an AVX, right? So yeah.
I find that to remove the gradient, I use the burn tool on shadows, and with a very diffuse, you know, the hardness of the pencil, or if you want the tool to be very, very, very lax, very, very mushy.
Is that?
And I just go in just to remove the stuff. It does a wonderful job.
Right. So what tool is that? You say, is it a command line tool or something, or?
No, it's in Photoshop. I just use the burn tool.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have a brush that you use with it, and I make the edge of that brush very diffuse, very hardness. They call it very, very unhard.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the tool set to get rid of shadows. You can do shadows, mid-tone, or highlights. I make it shadows.
Yeah.
And then I just go around and I just paint the area that's got that nebulosity, and it goes away.
Yeah, Gimp has something like that as well, but it doesn't work as well, actually. So I don't know, maybe Photoshop is better, but I don't want to pay for Photoshop because it's a subscription model, and forget it. They're not going to get my money. So
you can get CS2 for free. I mean, that's the one I use. That's old.
CS2 is 16-bit, so I don't want that.
No, it'll do 32-bit.
Is it 32-bit?
Yeah, it's slow, but it'll do it in 32-bit. You don't have all the editing tools, when you get to the higher bits.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, Gimp is very similar to Photoshop, and it has similar tools. I can also select the shadows, and it has ways to highlight the shadows and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't get it done. If you have a mixture of nebulosity and shadows, it's very difficult to separate between those. So
you can make a star mask. That's the other way of getting rid of them.
Yeah, I've done that here, right?
Yeah.
So, and star mask, by the way, if you try a star mask on this, it's going to be a disaster if you try that too. I've tried all those things earlier, and none of those methods really work well. So to get the gradients out of there, the tool that I wrote in Scilab works really well. The only disadvantage there is that it will interpolate inside the nebulosity, and you have no control over that. The wavelets also work very well, and what that does is it drops down very quickly inside the nebulosity. So it will drop down to 0, and that can be good or it cannot be good. So in this case, for the veil, there is some nebulosity to the mid right over there, and it has trouble with that. So for that, polynomial would work better. Anyway, it was a bit of a struggle, but I got it done with altogether. So that's why I actually used starNet, so it got rid of the stars that way. And and there was not much gradient over there, by the way. So, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So then there's a new tool actually that's called Star Exterminator, and that's really fabulous. So Tom, if you want to go to that page, that's actually pretty cool. It's a guy.
What is it called?
Star Exterminator. Yeah, and on the homepage they have an example of a nebula, and you can move your mouse over it, and you'll see the stars. And if you move it away, it's gone, and it looks pretty amazing. I've seen some people using that, and that's one order of magnitude better than StarNet.
I've
But
got a
it,
pest and termite control called Stark Exterminators. But no, that
it's really called Star Exterminator. You should probably find it if you. Let me try it here.
Photoshop star removal plugin.
No, that's not what I mean. Oh, is the Star Exterminator typed with just an X, not EX? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one where the stars were removed. If you move the mouse over it, you'll see the stars coming back in. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty good, nice tool. I mean, something like that, it works really well. So you can just take the stars out and process them separately so that, when you stretch, you can stretch the nebulosity with different parameters than the stars. And that really helps a lot with astrophotography processing. So that would be nice. It's just, unfortunately, it's a plugin for PixInsight and for Photoshop and maybe some other tools. I'm not quite sure. But this guy, he's got a company somewhere, and he must have been in the neural net. He's talking about a convolution neural net or something like that.
$60.
Yeah, $60. It's probably worth it. I mean, PixInsight is like 230 euros or something. So yeah, oh well. Anyway.
Oh, he's an astrophotographer too. I see.
Yeah, and he's got some pretty nice equipment. I mean, if you look at those images, you can tell that some of them, he must have had a big scope with in an observatory. Otherwise, you can't take those images.
Yeah. S-Big
20 inch.
11.
Oh, 20 inch.
inch.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what the museum has. Natural history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they use it?
Not that I know of.
I've never seen it out.
No,
They don't bring it out, Bruce. It's the one in the observatory there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, certainly.
Yep. That's quite something.
That is something. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh, he's got his own observatory here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Pretty cool. Russell Croman Astrophotography. Huh?
Yeah.
How did I get the exterminator there? Let's see. Resources. Oh, it's under resources. Gradient exterminator, star shrink.
Right at the top, Tom, I think it star exterminator.
Yeah. He must make all these, huh?
Yeah.
It says it's a Photoshop plugin. Will it work with Gimp?
Does Photoshop plugins, do they work with Gimp? I don't know.
Oh, no, they don't. Sorry, I didn't hear the question right. Sorry. No, they don't. Unfortunately, otherwise I would have used Gradient Exterminator at some point, but I can't use it. But it's okay. I mean, it helps me to get to learn Gimp better because it has methods that can be used if you know how to use it. I had never used wavelets before, but it's kind of cool to see what it can do.
Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Good. I've got to make a system where I store the how to get into this meeting in an easy place. I've been going back and searching through my emails, and you don't always send it out on
I sent it out Sunday night. It's the same
No, it's
email
not.
for the.
I know it's the same. It's not your fault. It's my fault for being lazy and not setting up a resource to have it handy. Put it in my Rolodex.
But I
Is
mean,
this-
the email I sent out Sunday night, it has a link right there. You just click on it.
Oh,
It says,
No, it just had the one that got to me just had it for the Monday meeting. Didn't have it for the workshop.
well, you should be getting the one, since you're in our members list, you should be getting the
You're
one
right.
I send out to everybody.
You don't have to defend. It's not your fault.
It's my
The
fault.
one I
my fault.
received also just had the Monday meeting stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay, it is
didn't
your
get
fault. You
in.
do have to defend.
Well,
So
hold
how
on.
did the Monday meeting go? I was busy with a 6-hour restore of my 500 megabytes.
Oh, well, you were sorely missed.
I went through over the weekend, I don't know how many hours to restore two terabytes of several drives.
Yeah.
They had all of a sudden my C drive started having errors.
Okay.
So I know what you're going
Wow.
through.
Yeah.
It's funny, Jerry, you had your router went down.
My
And,
what?
It's contagious. You had to replace your router. So we just had to replace our router. And about a
Yeah.
week later, the modem went out. So I went through a router and a modem, and I was out at Best Buy, and the guy out there in line had a modem right in front of me. And I said, there's something going on. There's an awful lot of people losing routers and modems right now.
Well,
So-
their warranty was up.
What was that?
Their warranty was up, and a few days after that,
yeah.
they'll go kaput.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah,
I
they got a
bet,
clock in there. They know.
I bet
Yeah.
that lightning storm had a lot to do with it.
Could
Yeah.
be.
Well, I got my
Yeah.
whole house protected with a surge protector that's on the main panel. And then my computer's on battery backup, and I've
Yeah.
been pretty lucky.
I've got to ask you guys, Bruce and Jerry, if you didn't get the email for in general for the people. What, Chuck, do you remember seeing my email that comes out through MailChimp, and it has the SBAU logo at the top? Well, Mike's shaking his head. He got it, and it has the Monday announcement and the Tuesday announcement, and it has some things on unclassified things I'm trying to sell, and
Yeah,
some
I saw
links.
that. I saw that.
Yeah, I got
Tim,
that, but it's dated August 8th.
Sorry, Jerry, couldn't understand you. You got cut.
Oh, I've got it, but it's dated August 8th.
I sent it out Sunday night. Should be November 14th.
It's okay. I get probably 200 emails a day, and 90% of them
Woo!
asking me for donations.
Chuck,
And
you're muted.
so I just go through and check them all. Maybe I accidentally sent yours to the graveyard.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't
I have
have
the
it,
link
but
in
this was
mine.
during the period of time that my computer was burping. So I don't have any emails on the 14th. I have the 11th and then the 15th. So it probably went into the bit bucket.
You
Don't
didn't
worry,
see
I'll-
that email. You didn't see that email where you won $1 million, huh?
Definitely
I-
missed that one.
All the numbers they're generated new for each week, correct?
No,
No, actually,
No,
it's the
they're the
same
same.
Zoom.
the same always.
Oh, well,
So far, I might change it at some point. I might run out of them. It might have
Well,
to do it again.
I think Zoom sometimes saves them, and when you go bring it up, there's a pull down for all the different
Yeah.
things.
Mine does that.
Oh,
The Monday
really?
meeting starts with 961 and this meeting starts with 967.
You'll have to put in the password though, if there's a password with
No,
it.
there's
though.
no passwords.
Oh, well, that's one way of trying it.
I just dragged it as a link onto my desktop, and I can just click on it and it comes here.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing right now.
I'm concerned because MailChimp, using that, there were a few people that, like Cox, identified the MailChimp outing as being, a mass mailing, that they blocked some of the people. They didn't get it. So I'm kind of afraid that might happen to like some of the hosting companies. They might block our email that goes out. You have to pay money for MailChimp if you want to send out the emails in smaller groups. so that you're more likely to get through the blocking things that they set up on these hosting companies, Cox or in AOL or whatever. So
I know Ruben's on AOL and he doesn't get any of my outreachy emails anymore, apparently.
yeah, it's that mass email, they're blocking. They recognize too many people getting the same email and say, "Oh, we're not letting you through. Must be spam." Yeah, that's too bad.
Okay,
too
I've got
sensitive.
you fixed now.
You found it?
Oh, no, I found it. I'm on. See, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the emails coming through. Okay.
It knows it has a bunch of receivers.
Okay, so what else is up tonight? Anybody? Jerry, you didn't see the Ed Kalasky telescope that way he set up his 14-inch. Let's see if I still have that.
I didn't see that. Was he on tonight?
No, you didn't
No,
join us.
no.
I invited him. I sent an email out to
I
invite
saw
him.
that email.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And
That Kirby kid, you know, that was from UCSB that was asking about the director's position, the astronomy director's position. He said he might join tonight, but I don't see him.
Okay, maybe.
well, haven't given him the link. I don't know.
Okay,
Have
he
you
didn't
seen
email
the-
you.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it. Don't see anything new in Webmaster. What was I looking at? Oh, here it is. Okay, Jerry. Just to go back for Jerry to see this. This is Ed's start with the ring nebula. Ed did with the scope, but let's go. Here he is in his
Oh,
bicycle
yeah,
outfit,
that's Ed.
14-inch, and he just got a 2600 color camera to go with it, I guess, and was taking some photos.
Oh,
Oh, there's the images. I saw the email, but I didn't see the images. So that's
Well,
pretty
they were
cool.
attachments.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have the attachments on that email. Yeah.
No.
Oh, he's got the pedestal I gave him.
Really?
See the black tube? Yeah, right there with the three
Yeah,
legs.
okay.
Some lady up in Santa Maria or Slow had this thing custom to machined for about $400 for her own telescope to put it in the backyard on the patio. And she used that for a while, but then she changed the equipment and she sold that and no one bought it. And I found it looking through archives on cloudy nights. And I called her up and I bought it. And then I used it for a while. And then I replaced it. And so I donated it to the club and Ed took it.
Oh,
Great.
That's got an equatorial mount.
No, it's just the pedestal part, no equatorial mount.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Just the
Okay.
tripod
okay.
part. And it's made
Uh-huh.
out of steel. It's not made out of aluminum. It's made out of steel.
Uh-huh.
It's machined and welded. It's a
Well, that
good
scope
product,
buggy,
very
the
rugged.
thing with the wheels on it is all made out of steel also.
Yeah, what they call that, a wheelie cart?
So
Yeah.
the scope buggy is the one I have is
Yeah,
called scope buggy.
I can see his leveling devices here.
Well, that's his indicator, yeah.
Mhm.
That looks like a good setup. Ed's pretty creative in his machining and assembly parts. I wonder where he got the tube.
You mean the optical tube?
Yeah, the great big white tube for the whole thing.
So you're thinking he put that whole thing together piece by piece?
That's my guess. I don't know at all.
Was Ed working on a 14-inch mirror?
He was
Not
working
that
on
I
a
know.
12-inch mirror when I was with you guys.
Yeah. I don't recall.
I don't think so.
seen him it's been about 3 years since we've been together at a in-person workshop.
Yeah. But Bruce says it's a 14-inch telescope.
His email to me, which
Could
I can
be.
forward to you, said he finally got his 14-inch scope together, and here's some
Yeah.
pictures.
That looks like it. It's like about the right size too.
That's bigger than 12-inch, obviously.
Yeah, it is.
That's what, a f4.5 or
It
5?
looks longer than F4. Looks like it's F5 or F5.5 or something.
That's more for planetary viewing. And in fact, his picture he said of the, I think of Jupiter, he had a Barlow on there, 2X Barlow.
Okay.
3x Barlow and
3X,
the
okay, yeah.
and the camera on Jupiter was 120 MC for Jupiter.
Oh, that's right, his older camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at the email.
Yeah, Ed likes to build things. I doubt if he bought that whole unit as a unit. Well, anyway,
He's probably running into problems like I am. Where are you storing all this stuff that you build?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Out in the backyard under a tarp.
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess for him, it's probably the garage. Looks like that's real handy there.
Yeah. So if I can share something with you, this is a picture
Sure.
that Mark took with his, I think it was Pixel 6. Okay, so that's Orion, and there's Barnard's Loop over there.
Oh, yeah.
So those cameras are really super,
Sensitive, yeah.
yeah.
Well, Mike,
There's a photographer, Rogelio Bernal Andrio, has gotten a bunch of wonderful pictures, including Bernard's Loop, and
Yeah.
it's published.
Mike,
But
was
he
that
takes many, many
Okay.
pictures and combines them.
Yeah. Well, that was just with the Pixel phone with its built-in routines that stack them and
Okay.
time them out and all that.
well, Mike, was there a telescope involved or not?
No, that
Okay.
was the camera
Okay.
in the phone, unaided. So
In a phone?
a
Yeah.
phone, yes.
Jesus.
Well, hold a second. Here, let me show you something else.
What exactly is Bernard's Loop? Is it stars or is it a dark?
It's
patch?
Barnard's Loop, and it's
Right.
fluorescing hydrogen.
Yeah, it's a big red arc, about a half a circle.
Oh, okay.
And it surrounds the entire length of the Orion constellation.
Oh, okay.
Or asteroid.
I've heard the name so many times. I never knew what it was.
It's quite faint, and it's Barnard, not Bernard.
Barnard.
Okay, I don't know if you can see this here.
Yeah,
This is an iPhone afocal into a 12-inch Chinese Dobsonian reflector.
No, we're not.
We don't see an image.
Oh,
no,
okay, hold a second.
We're seeing your files.
Okay,
the file list.
okay, let me try again. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Okay, this is with an iPhone, and he stacked it. He did an AVI. This is another friend, an AVI movie, and unguided,
Mhm.
and he didn't apply
Unguided?
wavelets,
Jesus.
just stacked it. He's got the what they call the mocha spots.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So is that a
Yeah.
separate routine that does Apple provide that routine, or is it somebody else?
No, basically he took the movie, he downloaded it, he
Oh,
went into, was it Registax, and did it that way. And instead of using wavelets, he thought he got a better picture with just the way it came out. Said it looked too cartoonish. So where there's a will, there's a way, and you don't necessarily need to spend some big bucks on
I can't believe
cameras.
that. I can't believe it was unguided in that.
Yes.
Well,
It's all
helps a lot
it's
with
all due to computational photography.
Well, Tim, that's because it's lucky seeing, right? So you take a movie at like 200 hertz or something like that. So the exposure time is very short, and guiding is really not important. And also the
Oh.
resolution is not so important. So it's just sheer by taking a movie, with low resolution, it's always low resolution because every lucky image is pretty blurry, even with the best equipment that you have. So you can do this with a cheap camera or with expensive stuff. It doesn't really make much difference.
We were
So
really lucky that night too. The scene was good for a change. Very rare.
Yeah, I know what that one's like. When it's bad, it's really bad.
It's usually bad here, but occasionally.
I finally found out what upper atmospheric winds are, and they, actually had somebody ask me, well, how far up is it? And I told him, I don't know, a mile, but I was wrong. I think Chuck told me it's like 30,000 feet. So it's more like 6 miles. But it was really blurry. Saturn wasn't Saturn.
Yeah. The oval blob.
Yeah.
It was the way Galileo saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worse. It was worse. Yeah.
Tom, I sent you an email. Tom says.
I also sent him an email to Barnard's Loop.
Okay.
Oh,
Tim, that's the same Barnard that did the dark nebulae.
Yeah, E. Barnard.
An amateur that became a professional, right?
Oh, yeah.
That means he sold something.
the dark nebula. Dark nebula.
No, he just couldn't find a better job.
What'd you say, Tim?
You're talking like the ink spot, that kind of
Yeah.
dark. Oh wow.
Yeah. Or the horse head, B30.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, I like that stuff. And
Yes,
figure,
full
well,
catalog in there.
I was not ready for when they said ink spot. I was not ready for that kind of black.
Yeah.
That was the blackest I've ever seen.
Okay, Jerry, I got your emails.
Okay.
I sent mine to Tom Says at whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I got
Mine
that
is
too.
mine is a photograph looking straight down on the 18-inch mirror cell I'm working on, just showing the status of it.
Mm.
Well, first
So,
I'll go back to Ed's modifications by Bruce.
Okay.
So Bruce's image versus Ed's image. So Bruce's, what'd you do to it, Bruce?
I just used Control Alt L, which is auto. I don't know, in Photoshop, it spreads. It makes the contrast good and it spreads the thing out and gets rid of the dark and the light at the ends.
Auto levels.
Auto levels. That's it. Yeah.
It's interesting to actually see the moons trying to come through are kind of distorted.
Maybe.
Yeah. His scope moved during the photograph, so the things are kind of oval.
Yeah, it's a blur. That was his. Oh, I guess you can see the moons in his too if you look carefully.
No, I can't see it. It must be my iPad.
See it?
Yeah, it's probably the iPad. And here's Bruce taking Ed's Ring Nebula, and he blew it up.
Yeah. You can see the central star there.
Wow.
Not tracking too well there.
No, yeah, I mean, look at the other things around it. They're all oval. They're sphered.
That's a red blood cell.
So it's not the central star, it's mitochondria.
Let's see.
I don't have nuclei.
Maybe an off-axis guider would help.
Yeah, he's talking about that. So Jerry's, let's see if I can find Jerry, what he sent here. And why did I? Well, that's weird. How did I get that in Jerry's stuff? Anyway, let's see. Hold it. Let's see. What the heck? Jerry, you didn't send me Jupiter, did you? No.
No, I just sent you one picture picture of the mirror cell,
Okay, let me find that.
provided my iPad worked right.
Mirror cell status. There's the image. I can just open it up here and just. All right, here we go. Let's see. Share screen, Jerry's mirror cell. Pretty fancy.
Oh, I gotta see that.
12-point
Oh,
stuff,
wow.
12-point
Yeah, I'm
mount. Huh?
just gonna take off and get a photos. Wow.
So I'm using a 9-point flotation because it's a
Oh,
thin
9
mirror,
point, okay.
and I think it's going to be fine that way. I decided not to use the ball bearings that they recommend in the telescope making books. I'm using furniture pads. I just don't like the hard point against the back of the mirror.
Nope, I agree with you.
And I'm spreading out the contact to the tube with 3/4 20 screws on each of the wings out there. And then in the back, it's a push, pull, tilt, and lock system. And that's what I've been struggling with for the last few weeks because I couldn't get screws. That's the head of the screw there that you just went around. And I needed a screw that is countersunk and it's 4 inches long and it's got full threads. Well, they just don't make those. So I put a thread extender on as the nut on the back, and then I threaded a rod in that makes up the extra distance, and then that made it work. You have to really look around for parts, and I found everything I needed on McMaster Carr. And they're very easy to switch on.
This is the one that you designed with CAD CAM, right, yourself and drew up?
This is it.
Yeah.
And so the part that I've been waiting so long for was my machinist took off and started doing photography, Jeffrey Cypress, full time. So I had to track down another machinist to do the bottom part, the thinnest ring in the middle, or I mean the interior ring, not that ring, it's a fatter ring there. And then that goes out to where those 3 screws are on the edge to go into the tube. That's the part I've been waiting to have machined. And their machine actually can't do a part that large, but they figured a way to space it so they could get at it and do it. So it worked out fine. So now I'm going to make the clips hold the mirror in, and I'll make those in the next couple of days. And then the mirror cell will have the mirror in it. And then I'll start cutting holes in the tube, put it in. So.
What kind of clips are you going to use, Jerry?
If you go over to Miners Hardware and you look at things that brackets the whole shelves up, they're all L-shaped, they're 90 degrees. They have some that look just like they were made for an 18-inch mirror clip. And it turns out it's the right width, the right overlap. It's got more vertical than stick out, and so it's perfect. So I got 3 of those, and there's a hole in the side, and I'm gonna turn that hole into a slot so I can adjust it up and down and then tighten it with the right tension.
Are the L brackets, are they aluminum or steel?
No, they're steel.
Okay.
They're steel, and they've been powder coated black. It's like someone made them for telescopes. Here they are. So
wow.
If you look around, you can find all sorts of things. I've been looking for years for things to anchor the struts on a truss tube telescope that anchors the two balls on or where the struts come together in 2 on the ring that goes around for either a knob or. But they have these really nice looking ones that Plane Wave uses, and I have been talking to the Plane Wave people on and off at these conferences, and they will not sell me any of them. They won't tell me where they get them because they don't make them.
Moonlight.
This afternoon I found where they come from. It's a place called Telescope in Germany. And so I just ordered 16 of them to finish off my 14.5-inch CK.
Well, Moonlight, the Moonlight focusers, they used to make those little ball ends for the truss tubes. And I went back there to try and get some, and they don't have them anymore.
You're talking about Protostar or Moonlight?
Moonlight.
Yeah, they don't carry them anymore because nobody uses their plastic. They're made for quick assembly and disassembly of your Dob. because
Yeah.
they have screws on them and wing nuts. I have 4 of them. If you want, I'll give them to you. But I don't know how far that'll get you. And I'm going to replace them with these things that PlaneWave uses because they look much better. I've just got to figure out how long I want the struts to be.
Yeah.
Now for some struts. Chuck,
And what diameter struts are you going to use, Jerry?
I don't know. I'm going to use either 1 or 1 1/4 inch diameter.
How much weight on the upper?
Not very
Okay.
much.
Not very much. Okay. Well, never hurts to go over on strength, especially with struts.
Yeah.
So Jerry, what did you buy from that place in Germany?
I bought the anchors that clamp on the balls at the end of each strut. Oops. If you look it up, it's TELESKOP.
I think the guy that runs it, I'm not sure, but I think his name is Marcus Ludes. He used to come to.
Yeah, this is the place. You just got to put in, I'm trying to scroll up on your thing. Scroll up to the top. There's a search engine up there, search. And you put in ball and socket clamp. No, that didn't get it either. Keep going.
Oh, there's more page.
Nope.
No, that's so just ball and socket, maybe.
Yeah, try that. Try truss tube. Ball socket truss.
Didn't like searching for that.
Huh. Well, honestly, I got them there. No, nothing that's there. Oh, well, there's more down there. No. Nope. Well, I just played around with the search engine.
Try truss connectors.
Yeah, try that. Well, that's the telescope they end up making.
Let's see, carbon rod.
Now they sell carbon rod too. There's the rods. Oh, there it is. That's right there, that white thing just under. You're scrolling off the top here, but it's TST ADAPT 36.97 euro. See it right? No, over left, up there. That's what I bought 16 of. Up one there.
What did you search to get this page?
I've been searching for years. There was a chain of discussion on cloudy nights that I went through, and someone just mentioned that he heard they had them here. And then they have three sizes of truss tube. That's it. 3 sizes of truss tube with the ball. If you go down to the other picture down there at the bottom here of this thing, Tom, there in the middle right there, that shows the truss tube anchored into it. So I've got to get the truss tubes and the balls yet, but I have to figure out what length of truss tube I want. They come in 3 different lengths. And I've got to make a tube out of them that goes the right distance between the primary and the secondary.
Now, it looks like it's permanently captured, the ball, or does it open easily?
You undo those 2 screws that you see there,
Yeah.
and then the white part lifts off.
Okay.
And then the ball comes out. But it doesn't slide in and out. If you're trying to put together a Dobsonian with this thing in a night or take it apart, this is not your hardware of choice.
Lose those screws.
Yeah. Well, you could put those screws, you could put their thumb screw there or something and pop it out. So that's what it is, an Anwendungsspiel, which in English is example of use.
They don't believe in spaces in Germany, huh?
Well, they sort of make big words. If you study German, they make big words out of smaller words by just pushing them together. You know, what is it? A Kugelschreiber is a ballpoint pen, and a Kugelschreiber just means a ball writer. So German makes up funny words. They get to be challenges. My favorite one is Fußgänger, which is what a German would say for a pedestrian. I think of it as a gang of feet.
Got it.
So how's the shipping costs?
The shipping cost by FedEx was 40 euros.
Just as much as the part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what I should show you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway, the 14 is on a longer completion path, but I've passed a major hurdle in that one.
Yeah, I was shipping those little sunspotters from my sister's house to me. I think they're like either 30 or 50 bucks a piece. I haven't figured out which the shipping cost was, but just they're 11 pounds a piece, and they're maybe 12, and it was might be 50 bucks for shipping of one box. You know, crazy cost. Oh, it turned out that the sunspotter, I don't know, I know Jerry knew that I was doing this, and Tim knew I was doing this for Don French.
Yeah.
And turned out he rejected it. He
Wow.
just, it seemed like he just needed too much help, just he couldn't figure out how to set it up. It's such a simple device, and he just just went beyond him, and so he just gave it back to me, and so I'm stuck with an extra sunspotter.
Well,
but,
you can use it for outreach.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Happy
I've
device.
got one, but I've got an extra one that I need to pass on. But
How much was it, Tom?
well, it's it was 45 bucks, but shipping was and tax and things that brought it up over 100.
Oh,
And then so I listed it for 175 in the email that I sent out, just because the Astronomical Society Pacific shop, they want to sell it for $475.
Yeah.
yeah.
which is crazy. I mean, I could probably sell them on eBay for 200 bucks if somebody's looks into it.
Yeah,
They don't.
with Don, I made a couple of things for him, and it just, I thought it was gonna. They were pretty self-explanatory, and it turned out that this last thing was really something, because I said, Don, all you really need is a box cutter and cardboard and tape, and you can really put it together, and I will look for the optics that you need. And it just seemed like it was insurmountable. So I don't know.
Yeah, he just can't handle anything really.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah. His wife just broke her arm. She fell over trying to get to him. He's coughing or something. She's running around the bed. She tripped on the comforter on the floor, so she broke her upper arm area and several pieces.
Humorous, huh?
Yeah, something. So having a real time there. Anyway, so let me go get that and show it.
Anyway, this just conclude the topic. This is a new site for me, so I have yet to explore it. Rather interesting and unusual things.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Main page. It looks like they sell everything.
Yeah, Telescope or Service is a very good site. I bought a bracket once for holding the guide scope on the counterweight bar, and so that's a pretty specialized item, and they had it.
Yeah.
Find it anywhere else, but they sell really good optics as well, and also very nice binoculars, Apo binoculars. I'm always thinking about buying some of those, and the prices are good.
So I wanted to ask anyone if they knew about Canon's new camera body that's made for astronomy. It has a small A after it, and it's one of their R series of cameras, which I think is the mirrorless kind of camera. Does anyone know anything about it? I just hear.
No.
Okay.
Not really. No.
There's a
Well,
ton
here-
of the mirrorless cameras around now.
Yes.
I'll show you
Oh yeah, there.
this thing here. If I'm talking, I can.
Oh yeah. That's the
So
sunset.
it comes with a cover. So let me pull the cover off. It has it's got a main optic let things in there, and this guy here is covered up with a little piece of plastic. And then it's the optics bounces off of this mirror, and it gets over this mirror, and it goes up to this mirror up in the up top here, and it shoots down through through an optic in the middle here, and hits the paper down here. So it's a folded up scope there.
And
That's
you
very
can
good.
put paper there and you make a drawing of your suns.
I didn't understand that, Jerry.
You can put paper there where the sun is, and you can make a drawing of the sunspots.
Right. But nowadays you just use your smartphone, right?
Well, it's hard to get a smartphone in that.
Yeah. You take a camera or something, but
Yeah.
it's pretty clever.
Yeah, it is.
It's got
very nice.
It's got a retaining screw on this end to keep it in place. So you got to loosen that up, so then you can turn the triangle around and for the sun. And then I got a 18-inch Lazy Susan that I can just kind of spin with the sun, real nice and easy. Otherwise, you can just slide this on a flat surface. But it's pretty clever. I mean, and buying it from Fisher Scientific for $45 when where the Society of the Pacific, they want $475. I think it's a little bit newer version that they have, but I don't see any real difference otherwise. So it's just, and it's nicely, the plywood that they're using to put it together, pretty nicely made. So,
Looks
yeah,
really nice. It looks like Baltic birch.
Yeah.
Can you also set
Somebody-
the thing on fire if it turns around and it's out of
Yeah.
if the bundle hits the wood instead of the, because
And
I did
don't
that
leave
once. I
Don't
had a
leave it
four
in the front room window.
Yeah,
The secret to using those to aim it, there's two aimers. There's the post that comes out, and then inside it, there's two more small targets to get it on. Otherwise, it's a little difficult.
They think they call this the gnomon up
Yes,
here. We'll
and
start
then
with the
down
letters.
inside there, where the bouncy mirror is,
Yeah, it's
there's two
down in
small
here.
spots, and you get that in there, and it all of a sudden it projects on there.
Small spots are these little
Yeah.
holes right next to the main lens.
Mhm.
That's the one that helps you line things up. It works out pretty well. It's pretty amazing. But this sunspots are right now at the moment have been pretty small, but I think these couple of years you're gonna have a lot of sunspots to look at. Should be kind of fun to
It's
have one
nice
of
and
these.
compact. I like the size of it.
Yeah, 10, 11 pounds. I'm probably 10 pounds, maybe. I don't know.
Somebody
Two-
gave me
two
one
of
of
Chuck's-
those for
Two of
outreach.
Chuck's meteorites.
So Mike, you have one of those?
Yeah, somebody in my astronomy club who used to be a teacher had two of them, and she gave me one. And since COVID's come up, it's not getting much use. Brand new.
It's at your house there.
Javier
Mike,
had that at the museum too.
Did he have one?
Yeah. I
Oh,
think I remember seeing it there.
don't remember ever seeing that.
What is the, what I don't understand, Tom, is it looks like it has some bearings or something like so you can aim it at the sun, or?
Yeah, you tilt it, in that circle, You
Yeah.
just move
Okay.
that triangle and it slides. It should have a little retainer so it couldn't slide off. I think that's one thing it misses. But yeah,
Yeah.
you just tilt it and then you rotate with the sun as it
The
moves.
lazy said, yeah. So you got alt tabs, yeah.
The lazy Susan is nice, but you really don't need it if you have a smooth surface to work with. Just push it around. But I like
It's
the lazy
pretty-
Susan.
It's pretty rugged, and I would imagine it was designed for kids to move around too.
Or bowl
Yeah.
with.
It should have some retainers on the side so you can't push it out and fall over and stuff. It needs a little bit clips to keep it in place when you're moving it up and down. But
That's
yeah,
what comes with the
it's-
$450 version.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah, they
Maybe
do have a
that's the
couple of
difference.
hooks.
Maybe that's the difference that you passed up when you didn't buy the astronomy one or the from the
Astronomical.
Society.
The executive one.
Yeah, that's-
Executive.
No, I didn't see that. They'd had a couple of hooks instead of the retaining pin. They might have had the retaining pin too, but they had a couple little hooks to kind of keep the triangle down, but didn't seem like much of a difference. It was like more of a solid piece of wood that they bent. They had that instead of having cutouts, which I don't see a big difference that way. So it works. It's cool.
I've got something for show and tell.
okay.
Okay.
I've been trying to get my bath working, and
Oh, boy.
so, okay, let me try and get this full page here. Okay, so that's the bath right over here. Okay, and with the camera. And hold a second, let me,
Boy, that triple stage just doesn't look like the parts that you had that one night. It looks a lot better.
okay, so here's the bath where the lasers going in this way gets bounced towards, hold a second, gets bounced towards up towards the mirror. Another one goes to this other mirror, which is the reference that goes towards the mirror. And then there's a lens that spreads it out. And this whole thing is a 3D printed kit. So
Mhm.
I was impressed.
Have you taken any pictures of the patterns?
I did once, but I wasn't able to do it again. I'm having some issues.
Okay.
Operator error, no doubt. I think I had some beginner's luck, but it gave me a totally wrong result. So I think I was not using it right. You know, the typical.
Oh, there it is right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And there's the mirror in the background.
Wow.
How far away are you from the mirror?
Well, it's 2 times 56 inches. So, you know,
So why does the
And-
mirror look black?
because it's not being illuminated. It's just, you know, the lighting. General lighting, it's
So what's the
It's-
focal of your mirror then?
it's 14.5 inch f 3.95, I think, or something like that. 56 inches.
Yeah. So it's about 100 inches between up there, but what, 10 feet, almost 9 feet?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, it's just trying to, I got this here the first time, but I couldn't duplicate it. So I'm having some issues on adjusting it. So it's, you know, a little bit of beginner's luck
Okay.
that happened. But, you know, it's what impressed me is the way that the 3D carriage goes by. And so he's got like stainless steel rods and brass rods that go over it. So I'm thinking that's a really nice idea for another optical tester, or a focuser,
Mhm.
or what I was thinking of, somehow supporting the main mirror with a bunch of these, like 4 of them, up and down, and focus using the doggone mirror for, smaller secondary eyepiece. I was thinking that might work out, but I'm not sure how I would be able to get all those rods going the same way, because they have to be exactly perpendicular, parallel to each other for it to work properly, or else it would bind. So I have to think that through.
It really looks like that's the kit that was on that website, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep, that kit.
Yeah. And that
I had a slight problem with the splitter fell out of the that top part there. It got a little loose and fell on the floor. So one little end got knocked off, but so went back to him. He says, just put a little bit of hot melt glue on there. That'll take care of it.
there's the kit right there.
Yeah.
Well, that XYZ stage is that's the whole ticket.
Yeah, that's the secret to it, because it needs to be adjusted just so in all those dimensions. Now, the one thing, when you buy a laser from the guy, there's 2 types of lasers. Get the better one, and he also, on all his lasers, he measures the wavelength, because that's important to get the best accuracy.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was confused on which one.
Yeah.
And also I don't know if does the kit come with all the lenses and everything?
If you buy it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's got different focal length lenses for different types. And so I told him which one, what size mirror. And so he basically says, get this one.
Yeah.
So the beam gets spread out much more than the mirror does. So
He used a different beam splitter, as I recall. It's a bigger
no, it's
one.
a 10 mil. I think he uses a 10 millimeter or 15 millimeter, something like
I think it was 15.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
the one thing that people were concerned about in the beginning, until they fixed it in software, is you want those 2 beams next to each other as close as possible. But the software everybody uses has an entry for you to put in the distance between the 2 beams, and it can compensate for that. So you don't get any false indications of astigmatism.
What's the name of the software that people use?
Here, hold a second. Let me just.
So why
I
is
got
this
it on
called
my
a
desktop.
This is called a GR5 store. What is he talking about?
That's his DFT fringe, which is free.
I don't understand. GR5?
GR5 store, that's his website for this.
Yeah, that's just the name of this website.
Yeah, but the other one is called DFT Fringe.
Oh, the software.
Yeah, and it's free.
Okay.
Hold a second here. I can show you it. But can't, because somebody else is.
Is this what we're talking about here?
I think so.
Corrected Raunchy offset version 5.1.
Yeah, 5.1. That's what I have on my machine now.
It looked like they have 32-bit and 64-bit. It looked like.
Mhm.
48
And
megabytes.
Here, let me share and I'll show you what I got with my
Okay.
camera, with my mirror here. Okay, so this is the fringe thing. And
Looks like a fingerprint.
yeah, I know. It wasn't a very good one. And so let's see here. Oh, files. Okay, hold a second. This is kind of what I got with it. Not very, it was pretty well distorted. So I figured that I was doing something wrong with it. So I just need to redo it again.
The scale of the colors. Can you show that again?
Hold a second here. Hold
Oh, the
a
colors went away.
Yeah, the colors went away. Sorry about that. But I'm
That's
having
okay.
issues. But anyways, hopefully next week I'll get it working. Let me try it on.
Is the Y scale in
Stop the share.
wavelengths? Is
Pardon?
the Y scale in wavelengths? Because
It doesn't in wavelengths and slope and other.
Because it went from -10 to +10, right? So that would be a lot of error.
It could be, but on a fast mirror, you go through a lot of wavelengths too,
No.
don't you? So I know I got a lousy interferogram. So and I know the mirror is a bit better than what it showed, just because if I did a star test and you know the mirror is kind of working okay. So
if it was off by 10 wavelengths, you wouldn't have got it. You'd notice it right away at the start test.
Yeah,
I mean, it should be like a quarter wavelength. So that's pretty much, you know.
Yeah, well,
most Chinese mirrors are like 1/12 of a wavelength.
I'm just trying to see if my mirror is, you know, a quarter wavelength or even a third wavelength. I don't know, you know. I just tested it with star testing, so I'm really want to try and use this to see how accurate the curve is.
Right.
And they're, you know, on the group there, they've been quibbling over 1/100ths of a wavelength, you know, is one back interferometer accurate compared to another? Is the software doing this and that? And they're looking at things that you can't even see even on a good night, you know.
Mhm.
They're quibbling. They're going, well, is this as good as a zygo interferometer? And it comes out to be that some of them are getting better results because the zygo isn't necessarily the end all. It's just the main tool that a lot of people use. So, but hopefully by next week I'll have something going.
Cool.
Me too. I'm hoping to get going now in the little 8-inch. Get back to it. Tom, I sent you an email. I finally finished my guitar.
Oh, geez.
What happened?
That was a Martin that I'm redoing. That thing was all messed up and I took it apart. But I just sent you an email of there it is right there. It's done. Got it strung up, played it yesterday. It's pretty nice.
So this could be your retirement job, is fixing guitars.
Oh, I met a guy in town. This guy's named Jim Lombard. I went over to his house and talked to him for about 2.5 hours. He's absolutely fascinating. He's been doing it since the 60s, and that's all he does. But boy, he was really neat to talk to. And that guitar you showed earlier, Tom, was an old Martin that I had when I was a kid. I think it's a 1959 Martin. It was all messed up. And it would the back and side, somebody down in Pasadena sat on it and split the sides. And I left the top kind of vintage, and the sides and back I completely stripped. You can see how I stripped it and refinished it and French polished it. And I was just about done with it. I wasn't happy, so I started fiddling with it today, and naturally screwed it up again. But that's the classical right there. That thing's done, and it turned out pretty well. I should have let it sit a little bit longer. You're supposed to let it sit at least a couple of weeks. And I strung it up and picked it up, and it's still a little sticky. But what a pleasure to do.
So Tim, are you saying that this is the guitar that you built here?
I built that.
Okay, and then this is the front.
That's the front of it right there in the case.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. Most amazingly is that I was not expecting it to sound as good as it does. So it turned out pretty good.
It's amazing that it works without strings. It's just great.
Yeah, that's why it sounds so good.
Zoom in on that label on the side.
Oh yeah, the label is amazing. It did #1. Crawford Guitars #1.
Oh, you shouldn't have called it #1. You should have picked a number closer to 100 and just a random number and put it in there.
Yeah, I learned a ton. I learned a ton making this thing, and I learned one thing. Those rosettes are that's kind of a separate art all in itself. I just bought that pre-made, and boy, I'll tell you, to make those things, I saw a guy do it, and he had his hands in wood glue, and it was all over him. I said, I do not want to do that.
Tim, is that a classic guitar, a Spanish guitar, or
That's
a
a classic guitar, and it was made
Yeah.
with it's a Spanish heel type of a technique where you make it on a work board called a Solara, and
Right.
a Solera, and that way you make the top of the guitar and the neck. It's sitting on a work board, and it sets the neck and the top at a particular angle. Other people, they build them and they build the body and the neck separate, and then they bolt them or else dovetail them together. But this is built as all one piece.
Yeah,
It's a real trip.
I have a Martin too, and but I didn't know they make classic guitars as well.
Well, this one I made, but the Martin that I was talking about was the other one that was all solid mahogany. And that thing, that right there was a guitar that my mom bought me when I was in 4th grade. And it for $92. Can you imagine?
Wow.
It's an 015, and now it's probably before I stripped it and started finishing it was probably worth a lot of money. But I took it down to Pasadena, and this is back in the drug days, and there was a group of people that were performing at the local nightclub, and I was singing and playing with them. And I went in the other room, and these guys were smoking dope. And one guy, I still don't know what happened, but he sat on it and split the side of the guitar just about the full length of the guitar. And I was so pissed and in shock that I just said to my friend, I'm leaving, let's get out of here. And later somebody fixed it, and they did a fairly good job on it. This guy, Jim Lombard in town, took a look at it. He said, not a bad job, but he was recommending that I not refinish it, leave it, like the Antique Roadshow. If you start screwing around with a vintage anything, you lose the value. But I didn't care about that. I abused this guitar, and I wanted to do something to fix it up. This is the original finish right here on the top. I didn't really do much to that. Although I have to admit, I put a little bit of shellac over the lacquer. So it does look a little different now, but that's how it looked everywhere, was that kind of semi-gloss finish.
And that's a Western guitar, right?
That's a Western guitar. It's just completely different made. Like the guitars they make now with all the truss rods in them, they're adjustable. But back then they embedded a truss rod inside the neck. It was non-adjustable, and that thing hasn't gone anywhere since the day it was.
I thought that rod inside the neck was bent so that you could twist the nut under the machines at the top of the neck and it would straighten out the neck of the guitar if the neck became warped.
You can, and that's what's called relief, Jerry. It's
Okay.
They're double. They're the way they make them now. They're a double-ended truss rod, so you can adjust it from up by the tuners or inside the sound hole. And either way, what you're doing is you're messing with that little bow in the neck. And what most of these guys like is they like it to have kind of a reverse curve so that the strings don't buzz. It's called relief.
Yeah.
But you know, back then when they made this little guy, there's no access to the truss rod. It's embedded inside the neck. But it hasn't gone anywhere over all that time. So it's an amazing little guitar. I can't wait to get it finished so I can try it out.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be if you heard me play guitar.
Oh, I'm sure you're good at it.
Nope. That's what that guy was asking me. He says, "Are you very good?" And I went, "No."
No.
And he said, "Me neither." He said, "That's why I fix them and I don't play them."
Oh, when we hear you scream, I've got blisters on my fingers. We'll know you're good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Anyway, I wanted to show you that.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. So I'll show you my Death Valley shirt here. See if I got that. The Star Party in Death Valley.
Your real background. So are you in the garage?
Yeah, that's my room.
Okay.
Furnace Creek. Oh, God.
Oh, Death Valley. Oh, nice.
I played 9 holes below sea level. Bring your oxygen tank.
Yeah.
There was a guy I talked to at work who used to work out there at Lake, and they were testing on P3 Orions, so it was a prop plane. But the pilot was also an F4 fighter pilot, and he needed to keep current. So he said, "Hey, you want to take a ride in an F4?" And the guy said, "Sure."
Yeah.
You know, in the next seat. So he put him in there, and they took off, and they were flying around out over Mammoth and everything. And then the guy said, "Hey, have you ever flown below sea level?" And he said, and they went, they flew at like 50-foot altitude over, Death Valley.
Oh,
and then
God.
He went back up and he said, "You know what? I'm not sure we were below sea level." So he did it again, but inverted.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
And this guy said, he says, "You just can't process a cactus flying at you at, 400 miles an hour."
Yeah. Oh, God. No, that would freak me out. That would totally freak me out.
Yeah, it's a big basin there. And it went. The sign at the lowest point was minus 282 feet.
Wow.
And a lot of people out there. It had kind of a salt flat there, and there was a
Yeah.
pool of water, salty pool of water that had some pickleweed growing along the edges. But it gets hot there, boy. I can see why. It's low.
I was there when it was 125.
Yeah, I think their record's 134 or something. But Santa Barbara says they got up to 150 at one point, didn't it? In the past.
130.
The Great Simoon.
They had almost, I think it's one of the hottest records. It was like the second hottest record in the world at one time. I thought it was 132.
It was in Goleta, and it was the Great Simoon, and they had cattle that fell over dead.
Yeah, and
supposed to be 130. But that's never been verified, so that's actually not in any record books.
Yeah. And Fernald's Point down there where the Miramar is, that Fernald's Point, they used to what did they used to call that?
Shark Cove.
Sharks Cove, sharks. And all the surfers used to go there, and they said, "Well, why did you call it sharks?" And you said, "Because of that one that heat wave they had, and all the cattle died, and they dumped all the dead carcasses in that cove, and the sharks came. So that's why they called it sharks." Unbelievable.
Well, didn't Burbank get up to like 130 degrees last year or something at one point?
No, I don't remember that. Burbank, California?
I believe it. I believe it.
There was a real heat
I don't-
wave.
I don't remember that. My sister lives right next to that in Pasadena, and she didn't report anything like that.
Let's see, 100.
I know they had a heat wave.
I could have sworn it got really hot down there in LA area.
I
Don't
know
have to
one
worry
year
about
here
that.
we had a pretty hot temperature in Santa Barbara when we were here. This is about a decade or two ago, and it was something like 120. I remember that. It was hotter than
I don't
It was so
remember.
hot.
Funny.
you don't remember that?
No, I don't. The most drastic temperature I remember here in Santa Barbara when I moved here was in the mid or late 80s, and the temperature was 17 degrees for about 3 or 4 days. And it killed all the eucalyptus trees all the way up and down 101.
Wow.
And as I travel that route in subsequent years, the trees started growing back and coming green again.
Here was
121.
121 Woodland Hills,
Uh,
and don't know what the date was here. September 2020, September 6,
Huh.
2020. Yeah, 121 there. Maybe that was one of the hot spots.
Yeah,
You better believe it.
that's very
Got
high.
hot and steamy.
I'm gonna check out, guys.
All right.
Okay, I am
Time.
too. It's after 9.
All
Okay.
right. Good meeting. Good to see
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Stop share.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.